She had a very biblical name and was a biblical example to me the week before Christmas. I went through the drive-thru of the Cookout on West Broad Street to get a cup of iced tea. That was all. You can imagine Broad Street the week before Christmas. It's a busy place, lots of stuff going on. And I ran through the drive-thru just long enough to get iced tea. But by the time I got to the window, Elizabeth, my cashier for the transaction, had prepared my tea and was ready to take my money. It was a simple transaction, one probably done hundreds of times that day. But for Elizabeth, it wasn't just one more person with one more order. She greeted me cheerfully and asked about my day. Then she handed me my iced tea and straw and asked if there was any other way she could serve me. Something in her voice and in her enthusiasm made my day. So much so that I found myself looking at the receipt as I got ready to pull away, just to see what her name was. Our, not from the Bible, but very biblical Elizabeth served me that day in the truest sense of the word. It was just a cup of iced tea, but she had found a way to make it so much more. Good people who serve well do that. They take a task that's ordinary and could be considered menial, and they raise it to excellence and an opportunity to be a blessing as they continue and contribute to our daily lives. I go, way to go, Elizabeth. Today we're beginning in a sermon series in which we are going to look at the prophetic words uttered about Jesus by the prophet Isaiah. He will call him the one that's promised, and he will speak of we will look at three different aspects that this promised one, literally hundreds of years before Jesus is born in Bethlehem, the things that Isaiah said this one would do. He would be the promised servant. He was going to be our promised light and our promised example. So today we began with the promised servant. Now, this was planned for last Sunday. We just stayed with that. Claudia bulletin said the 8th and it was marked through. But it was a good sermon. It was appropriate. It was done. But it would have been just 1 week after we started the new year. Here we are 2 weeks into the new year. But it still seems an appropriate thing to do as we launch into another new calendar year is to look at promises. Particularly promises as the body and the community of faith that God has made us to be. Because you see, this time of year, our minds turn to intentions, resolutions, commitments. You pick your word. Promises that we make to ourselves, possibly to others, of things that we intend to do in the new year. Now, I don't know how you are 15 days into that, but I know that often those promises, statistics will bear out, the resolutions that are made are often not fulfilled. But every now and again, one stays. Someone will commit to do something, and the next thing you know, that year goes by, and another, and their lives have been altered in some way. But what is so amazing is the promised one we're going to look at has a stellar record of faithfulness. Jesus is a promise kept and never broken. So we're going to unpack the promise of a promise before we even turn our attention to the servanthood of Jesus. What is a promise? A promise is an express assurance on which expectation is to be based. A promise is an express assurance on which expectation is to be based. So, did you hear the confidence in that? Assurance. Rock solid. Surety. Okay? Do you hear the hope? Expectation. And did you hear that it's a base, a foundation, an undergirding, a firm footing of confidence such that we can expect whatever it is that we are assured of is going to actually happen. Again, our God keeps his promises, so here at the beginning of a new year, we have confidence and hope being offered to us by the God of the universe. And I think that's pretty exciting. I don't know about you. But to think that our God has said at the beginning of this year and every day of every year, through his word, this I will do. You can have assurance on which you can base expectation. Our scripture today is taken from the book of Isaiah, but tells one that we celebrated just a few weeks ago, being born in Bethlehem. But at the time it was written 700 years ago, it was nothing more than a promise. We live way after that fact, 2,000 plus years after it happened, and we are still able to base expectation and assurance in the promises of God. But it never hurts us to go back to the Old Testament and to hear again what God had said God would do and then fulfilled. Because again, we have the blessing of living in the aftermath of it, where we know it came to be. But we also have the joy of having had that example, which we're going to look at in 2 more weeks, of Jesus Christ in our lives. This was nothing more than something to come to the Israelites. So we begin in verse 1 of chapter 42 of Isaiah's prophecy. Right out of the gate, look at my servant, God speaking is saying through Isaiah. Look at my servant whom I strengthen. He is my chosen one who pleases me. This is said at Jesus' baptism, which we've been here last week, was baptism of the Lord Sunday. Your bulletin will say that. It is the first Sunday following Epiphany, okay? So baptism of the Lord, the dove descends, and God says, this is my son. Does anybody know in whom I am?
Well pleased.
I am well pleased. 700 years ago, Isaiah had said, he is my chosen one who pleases me. I have put my spirit upon him. He will bring justice to the nations. So God, speaking through the prophet Isaiah of Jesus, the one promised as a servant, and one chosen who's going to please God and bring justice to the nations. Now, I don't know about you, but apart from faith talk, servant is not a word I hear often in 21st century vernacular. In fact, I would dare say that many of us would be resident and hesitant both to say, you are here to serve, because we are super sensitized to this whole concept of order in ways in our society. But the concept of service and servanthood is a major component to our lives, whether we name it as such or not. And it's a title that God used for Jesus, so we are put in extremely good company if and when it is ever used to refer to us. Because you see, in the context of the Word of God, servanthood is foundational to the entire premise. God, of the universe, has come to serve us so that we will go forth to serve. That is the premise of this servant sermon. That is what we stand on, believe in, and practice. That is what we are called to by the Word of God. So if we don't like that word, we may want to come up with a different one, but you're not going to find one that's going to change the meaning. And it would help to know what is a servant by definition. A servant, according to dictionary.com, is a person employed by another, especially to perform domestic duties. That is one of the servant definitions. A servant is a person employed by another, especially to perform domestic duties. So, shockingly, a servant is one who serves. A servant performs the daily task of ordinary life for the benefit of another person. A servant does ordinary, needed daily functions to assist and aid the person employing them or asking them to do these things. In my example, it is an Elizabeth at a cookout, putting iced tea in a cup and handing it to me in an exceptional way. And according to the prophecy of Isaiah, in God's view, a servant is Jesus Christ, his own son. We continue with Isaiah. Verse 2, he will not shout or raise his voice in public. He will not crush the weakest reed or put out a flickering candle. He will bring justice to all who have been wronged. He will not falter or lose heart until justice prevails throughout the earth. Even distant lands beyond the sea will wait for his instruction. Do you hear in that the tenderness, the gentleness? Not even a flickering candle will be put out. He will not crush the weakest reed. And yet he's going to bring justice to those who have been wronged. He's not going to raise his voice or shout, but he is not going to falter or lose heart until justice is accomplished throughout the earth. And even distant lands are going to wait for his instructions. So you hear in this the powerfulness of a servant and the gentleness of a servant, all wrapped up in this promised one. So Jesus is going to bring all of that, and he does so without raising his voice or overwhelming force. Because so often we think of the role of a servant as powerless, not in the hands of the right people. A servant is an extremely powerful force. Verse 5, God, the Lord, created the heavens and stretched them out. He created the earth and everything in it. He gives breath to everyone, life to everyone who walks the earth. That's us. And it is he who says, I, the Lord, have called you to demonstrate my righteousness. I will take you by the hand and guard you, and I will give you to my people Israel as a symbol of my covenant with them, and you will be a light to God the nations. Now this is spoken of Jesus Christ, but we who live after Jesus Christ has come, lived, ministered, died, and been raised to new life, that we might have forgiveness of sins and eternal life ourselves, has left the mission to us to fulfill in his absence. So we are to be guided by God as the servants of God, as a symbol of God's covenant with us and with them. And we are to be a light to guide the nations. So God, who created the heavens and the earth, sends Jesus as a servant, first to the nation of Israel and ultimately to Gentiles like ourselves who are non-Israelites. We just celebrated a few weeks ago the sending of that one. But we celebrated it more as a baby than necessarily a servant, because little babies don't serve but so well to start with. They are very served. We have two examples right here in our services here. But they will grow up. And if God so designed it, they themselves may find themselves serving babies one day. But if not, they're going to serve someone, somewhere, somehow, because that is life. In this portion of Isaiah's text, we are told that the promised one came to be a servant to us. And he's going to do even more than what we've already discussed. But if that was it, oh my gosh, to think on this. The God who created the world, who created everything, and gave us literally life and breath, comes to serve us? Isaiah's not done. Verse 7, you will open the eyes of the blind, you will free the captives from prison, releasing those who sit in dark dungeons. I am the Lord, that is my name. I will not give my glory to anyone else, nor share my praise with carved idols. Everything I prophesied has come true, and now I will prophesy again. I will tell you the future before it happens. Again, we read this out of Isaiah, having known the fulfillment of that in Jesus Christ. So, the God who created the earth came to us as a servant to help us in our daily task of life. The God who created the earth came to us as a servant. I wouldn't say employed by us necessarily, but domestic duties, employed by someone to perform domestic duties. Domestic duties are day-to-day life. They're the ins and the outs of common, menial, sometimes exalted tasks. And the God of the universe comes to do that for us, to help us in our domestic, everyday, ordinary, menial task of just living this life. Comes to serve us, and even better than Elizabeth can serve iced tea at a cookout, or any of us can do. But still, that example is set. But not only does God serve us, God calls us forth to then go and serve in God's name. The Apostle Paul describes this beautifully. A few decades after Jesus' death and resurrection, when he writes to them and he describes what Jesus Christ did. and how we are to model that also. Out of Philippians, it says, you must have the same attitude that Christ Jesus had. Though he was God, it says, and this is the part where we really shouldn't have a problem because we are not God. Jesus was. God. Jesus was God in human flesh. We're not God. I've said that many a time from this very pulpit, but I will say it again. There is a God and we are not it. You're not, I'm not, no one in this room is, but there is a God, and Jesus was a part of that Godhead. So even though he was God, he did not think equality with God is something to grasp. Instead, Jesus gave up his divine privileges. He took the humble position of a slave. That doesn't even serve it. Here it is slave, and was born as a human being. You say, well, that's not so bad. We're born as human beings too, but we haven't been God to start with. And to take on human flesh and the confines of humanity on our behalf, I'm telling you, it doesn't get better than that. When he appeared in human form, he humbled himself in obedience to God and died a criminal's death on the cross. Any time we have an opportunity to serve someone and think, I'm really not sure I should do that. I think I might be above that. Please. No, don't go there. Because you see, you're sitting in this building today, in this sanctuary today, because you have some semblance of understanding and maybe a deep understanding that the God of the universe took on human flesh, died a criminal's death to serve us. We are absolutely, positively without excuse for any reason that we couldn't go forth to serve someone else, to help them through the menial, everyday task of life. God promised that one would come as a servant, and that promise was kept in a stable in Bethlehem when the one came unto us. Now, we receive the call to go forth to do the same. As we enter 2017 and continue on through these days, I ask us, is that a promise we're willing to keep?